Jacob Willoughby. I'm a Vice President of Research here at Red Cloud Securities and a mining analyst. Very happy to be hosting today our Summer Silver virtual conference with all kinds of great companies. Our next company is Southern Silver Exploration Corp. We have both Rob MacDonald, who is the Vice President of Exploration, and Larry Page, who is President and CEO. And I'll pass it over to you now to tell us all about the opportunity at Southern Silver. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jacob. Let me start off. Thanks very much, everybody, for taking a bit of time out of your day. Southern Silver is an interesting company that's been around in a lot of iterations for some time, but really began operations 10 years ago. It's one of 4 companies that we have in Vancouver in the Mannix group of resource companies. The reason for that is just to provide the facilities for public companies, all the backroom work, the legal, accounting, fundraising, etc. So it's a cost-efficient way to do it. Our last big win in the group was Western Silver that had the Penasquito property in Zacatecas, Mexico. It started as a penny dreadful, continued till it had proven a resource. It was taken over corporately by Glamis Gold, which was then taken over by Goldcorp. It was a $1.2 billion payday for shareholders, and we hope to emulate that one more time. So we took a company that wasn't doing much, Southern Silver, used all the infrastructure in Mexico, found a property that we thought had legs that could be developed into a mine. Over time, purchased it for $4 million. There's no royalties on the property. We're talking US dollars. And we had help in those days because it was difficult to raise money. We had Freeport McMoran farm into it. They put $5 million into the project, helping us to pay the periodic payments as well as funding the deep drilling. They were looking for a deep porphyry. They didn't find it, and they were leaving Mexico about that time. So they didn't earn in, and off they went. Still needing some help, we found the Electrum group of companies that invested in us, and they're a shareholder. They own about 36% of our issued capital now. But a few years ago, we found that it was an inefficient way of funding the exploration. So they said they would give us $5 million US over 5 years to fund exploration. They did that over 2 years. We were the operator, and we developed a series of resources till we got to the resource base that Rob will tell you about today. Lately, we found that we weren't moving as fast as we wanted to. Electrum had other reasons to spend time on their mine in Chihuahua, the Los Gatos property, and they were taking their Sunshine Silver mines public, doing a $100 million IPO. In any event, they didn't want to put money into the project, so I talked them into selling their 60% working interest. We got an agreement. The agreement is to pay them $15 million US over a 1-year period. And we did an arrangement with Red Cloud to be the lead broker. We're in the process of next week closing $14 million worth of financing, which is fully subscribed as of now. And after the shareholders approve the transaction on September the 4th, we'll have the transaction completed. So we intend to close 2 series of a financing, probably next Friday week, and so we've done everything that we meant to do. They say that sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you work hard, but we've got a confluence of the 2 things, because with a rising silver market and gold market, we believe not only is it raised all boats, but it's given us the opportunity to tell our story and to take us to a position where we can say that this will be a mine. And having given you that onus, Rob, why don't you just tell the people why you're going to be able to do that?
Okay, thank you very much, Larry, and thank you all for coming on to the presentation. There's I guess a fair bit to cover, so I'll touch on it fairly quickly. But you do have the deck that you can look through and glean more information. But really, with Southern Silver right now, our focus is the flagship Cerro Las Manitas project. It's a silver, lead, zinc project located in Durango, Mexico, a fairly classic skarn CRD system like other similar deposits that run up through the belt of silver or Faja de Plata of north central Mexico. The project itself is one of the largest and highest grade undeveloped silver projects in the world, with indicated and inferred resources of 272 million silver equivalent. And it's located within a well-established silver mining district in Durango, surrounded by other major producers. The transaction with Electrum that Larry has alluded to is transformative and it's value creating. We are acquiring Electrum's 60% interest in the CLM project for $15 million in cash and shares. We have now closed the book on a concurrent financing that's now actually $14 million in the private placement. And with the acquisition of Electrum's 60% interest, we have now increased the attributable resources by 150% and the net asset value by 138%. But it's not only that. We also see some near-term resource growth potential, and we're targeting about a 30% increase in the current resources that we have to build the resource base up to a 35 million ton, 350 million silver equivalent ounce deposit. We have identified 10,000 meters of drilling that we will start in September of this year, mid-September, and the idea is to build those resources and to expand the mineral resources on the project through that drilling. So in terms of the transaction, simplifies the structure of the CLM project. We take over control. We have 100% control over a premier polymetallic deposit in Mexico, increase of resources, increase in net asset value. This significantly enhances the market profile of the company, and we become a more attractive takeover target. These are the transaction terms here, and then the transaction timeline for closing in the beginning of September. September 9th is when the transaction is scheduled to close. In terms of the pro forma capital structure, so when we started out, we were at 20 cents with an enterprise value of 22.8 million. At closing, we'll be at 39 cents and an enterprise value, so both the market capitalization and enterprise value increasing significantly as a result of this highly accretive transaction. And the metrics across the board, again, 150% increases in the resources, so that we have 100% control of 272 million silver equivalent resources. The net asset value pegged at 308 million. And we see an increase in the attributable NAV to us. Again, the other metrics are showing that we're doing much better in terms of the market perception. When we started, we were trading at 21 cents per ounce. It's now up to around 40, so we're now in the middle of the peers. But in terms of the average, we still lag the average, which is 82 cents an ounce per silver equivalent ounce, and so we believe we still have room to grow. The project itself is one of the largest and highest grade projects, advanced exploration and development projects, sit very nicely within the top 10, and we're the highest grade of those top 10 deposits. And again, a management team and board with a history of success in Mexico. As you start looking through here, you see about 12 different mines, many of them based in Mexico, including the Peñasquito project, San Nicolas, San Cristobal, Los Gatos, the Los Gatos project. So it's a group of people that know what major projects look like. know how to advance them through to a development stage, and know how to get them into the hands of someone that's going to develop them and build a mine to the betterment of the shareholder. Project portfolio. We're going to focus on the flagship asset, which is Cerro Las Meninas. We also have a secondary asset that I'm not going to discuss in this presentation. But following the transaction with Electrum, we'll have 100% interest in this project. We continue to advance the project towards polymetallic production. We've spent $18.5 million in acquisition and exploration since 2011. And we're looking at new targeting for significant resource expansion, a 30% expansion, and toward a new milestone of 350 million silver equivalent ounces. We continue to de-risk the project through engineering and metallurgical studies. We have completed some leached lock cycle test work in the metallurgical work, and we are continuing our engineering work toward a PEA, which we anticipate publishing in December of this year. So zooming in on the flagship project, Cerro Las Meninas, we sit in the heart of the Faja de Plata of north central Mexico, surrounded by world-class deposits like Peñasquito, Fresnillo, San Martin, the Velardeña district, and Pitarrilla. We are located just 70 kilometers outside of Durango. The highway to Torreon runs right through the project. We're on the edge of the Altiplano. We're not in the mountains. So we're out in the bean fields, not the marijuana fields. It's a very safe jurisdiction to operate. I've been going back and forth there since 2011, and I have never had to travel with security. We've completed 133 drill holes, just under 60,000 meters of drilling, $18.5 million spent to date at a cash discovery cost, and this is important, it's 77 cents an ounce silver equivalent, or in zinc equivalent terms, half a penny a pound. So this is one of the reasons why we're looking at resource expansion through drilling, because it's a cost-effective way to organically grow the project. This is the plat of the area around Cerro Las Meninas. We're in yellow. The star here is the area of the Cerro where we have our mineral resources are located. We're surrounded by miners. Hecla mining on the east. Cora mining is on the west. Fresnillo adjoins our northern boundary. Avino is mining just 5 kilometers to the northeast at their gold-silver epithermal project. We have major highways running through the property. We have power lines running through the property, rail line coming in south of the town of Guadalupe, Victoria, which acts as our base of operations. It's a 5-minute drive to the area of the Cerro. And again, a very, very safe and easy place, easy logistics to work. This is Cerro Las Meninas. There's a central intrusion in here. A zone of alteration forms a horseshoe zone, a raised horseshoe zone of positive topography around that. We conducted IP geophysics over the property, identified an anomaly in this area, drilled it. That became our blind zone, which then ended up into the El Sol zone and the Las Victorias zone. Deeper, we tagged into the Scarn Front zone and continued resource expansion. In the foreground, you see the divided highway and access from Guadalupe, Victoria to the south. Geologically, we have this is a classic CRD skarn system. A monzonite intrusive acting as the heat pump to the system. Zone of alteration around it, which actually forms the Cerro. All of these half-filled squares are the historic artisanal mines. Our mineral resources sit on the west side of the Cerro, and we've outlined this outlined in red, shaded in yellow. The main thing to take away here is that there is a dike swarm that helped control mineralization in the blind El Sol and Las Victorias targets. And then we tagged into the Scarn Front deposit, which is the largest, most continuous deposit, now making up over 200 million ounces of the 272 million that we have in the system. A fairly classic system similar to San Martin, Grupo Mexico's project, First Majestic's La Parrilla, or Peñoles Velardeña, all from this area, and all fine world-class deposits in their own right. This is a breakdown of the mineral resources, 272 million silver equivalent ounces in the indicated and inferred categories, metal deportment of 83 million ounces of silver alone. and 2.2 billion pounds of combined lead zinc. You can see the breakdown in more detail. The main thing to take away from here is the skarn front deposit making up 18 million tons of the 24 million ton deposit. And one other note, that as we continue to expand the resources at this level, with the 30% increase in resources, we will crest 100 million ounces of silver. And that in itself is a milestone for any silver-rich deposit throughout the world. This is where we plan to expand in the Las Victorias area, about 200 meters to the southeast. And then on the eastern side of the central intrusion, where we have not put resources in yet, but we have 15 drill holes. So we are looking at offset drilling, not wildcat, not going after soil anomalies, not going after chip samples or anything like that. And this is the tenor of the mineralization that we're going to be offsetting. These are highlight intercepts from the South Skarn and Bacona area. We have 15 holes, kind of sort of like these, and you can see the tenor of mineralization that we're going to be stepping off. And so this is why we feel we have great confidence in being able to continue expanding the resource and growing the project organically. In terms of metallurgical test work, very briefly, this was lock cycle test work in the skarn front. 3 saleable concentrates, excellent recoveries, excellent grades in both in all of the lead, the zinc, and the copper, the copper concentrates. The main point is that we're getting over 84% silver recovery into high payable concentrates. These are high grade, good value, and very marketable to local miners and potential smelters and whatnot. And that's the main thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to build the resource to 30 million tons. At that point, we believe we'll have a 15 to 20-year mine life based on our basic engineering parameters. That puts us square in the crosshairs of the major Mexican miners, puts us square in the crosshairs of anyone that's looking to feed a mill for 20 years, anyone that's looking at feeding a smelter for 20 years. We believe that's the sweet spot for the project, and that's what we're building towards as we continue exploration and development through 2020 and into 2021. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. We've got about 2.5 minutes for some questions. So maybe I'll just try and clarify first for everyone. You have already closed on the $10 million portion of the finance.
It's planned to be formally closed with the issuance of subscription receipts at the end of next week.
Okay, so at the end of next week. What are your immediate plans now that you've made this momentous acquisition and financing?
Well, the immediate plans is to keep working towards a PEA and get the drill bit turning. And we believe that with COVID, et cetera, we're okay. We've gone through all of those protocols and whatnot. So we should have a 1 and perhaps 2 drill rigs turning within 40 days. So those are immediate plans as we continue with the engineering and a little bit more metallurgy to work towards a PEA. We will have a gross amount when we conclude the financing of $14 million, which gives we have $3.5 million in the treasury, which gives us a feeling of comfort that we can go forward smartly and using some science, and believe we can grow the resource.
Great. And how many meters of drilling would you hope to try and get through, say, before the end of the year?
We should have maybe 6,000 to 8,000 meters completed by that time. So we should be generating some very good news flow in October, and then through to November, December, January, February. The balance of the 10,000 meters should be completed in early 2021.
Great. And maybe one last question, because we've got about 20 seconds or so. Would you have a revised resource as part of the PEA, or would you do that after the PEA?
I think the way it's scheduling out right now, and we decided to pull the trigger on the PEA before we had this deal fully in place. So we do a PEA and then later do an update is the plan right now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you both very much for working quickly through this, and we really look forward to your success in the near future.